for the people, but too often it's a war on the people. You know, there's a war going on in Afghanistan and it's expanding. Is that supposed to be for us? Hardly. There's been a war going on in Iraq now for 6 or 7 years, $1 trillion spent, and thousands of lives, American lives lost, and hundreds of thousands of others' lives are lost. And that war is not for us. That's a war against us. It's consuming us. What about this war on drugs? We don't need a war on drugs. We have to have a war on poverty. We're opposed to poverty. Who's for poverty? Yeah, so we're going to have a war on poverty. And what do they give us? A lot more poverty. Personal liberties are obviously part of this, but in order to have liberty protected, we have to come to our senses on foreign policy. The founders were correct on foreign policy. They gave us strong advice. It's written into the Constitution we can defend our country, but we're not supposed to be the policemen of the world. And now that we're broke, and more people are starting to recognize we're broke, it's getting more opportunistic for us to say, one of the solutions may well be, just bring our troops home. I'm not talking about Iraq. I'm not talking about the Middle East. I'm not talking about Afghanistan. I'm not talking about the attacks on Pakistan. I'm not talking about our Navy around and surrounding and wants to boycott the Iranians. I'm not talking about the troops we have in Korea, the troops we have in Europe, the troops we have in Japan, the 800 bases we have around the world. I'm talking about all of them. We can save, we can inject that into the economy by cutting the income tax and let more people have the money. Then if we reject the notion of the last 35 years of government managed care and reject the notion that the answer is socialized medicine, believe me, the American people could get a lot better health care if we would just get the government out of the way. Last week there was another bill passed. It was passed under suspension, passed rather easily. It had to do with regulating food. They want everybody here to have safe food. So we're going to depend on the post office to give us safe food. But it's an unbelievable bill. Regulating and inspecting every single thing about food is going to be very bureaucratic and very, very expensive. So food prices are going up. Just like when they regulated and got involved in medicine, the prices go up. When they got into the housing business, did the poor people end up with houses? Yeah, temporarily, and then they lost them quickly. And the housing prices went up, and then there's a collapse. Governments can't manage. They can't manage anything. They can't manage their own personal affairs most of the time. What they can manage is their overseas travel. They love overseas travel. One time, somebody asked me, why don't you go overseas? You don't like the way that money's spent. Well, we're going to inspect it and inspect how they're doing it so you can be more informed on what's happening with all that. I said, I don't need to go overseas to know that we shouldn't be voting for any foreign aid whatsoever. You'd think after this last week of a few people being upset at these town hall meetings, they'd be paying more attention. But no, it's still going through Congress right now. Over $500 billion is being presented by the House to buy more airplanes for the congressmen